Hey there, YouTube fans. How you going, man? Listen, I know I've talked about this subject before, but like I was saying to my sister, I think this is something that was very, very important that we get out there on the World Wide Web, on the internet. And I know that I'm repeating myself, but this is way too important. There are people that are suffering out there. They're going blind. They're losing limbs. They're suffering. And it's really, really sad to see. And I was one of those people. And we still don't know really how much damage being a diabetic, type 2 diabetic, has done to my body. But I was checked out, and I seemed to have dodged a bullet there. And part of the reason was I kept very vigilant about trying to keep the blood sugars down, get on the medications. I was up to 3 different medications. And I want to talk about, in all the research that I've done, and I'm a type of guy that tries to find a solution to health problems. And I think that, I've come some way to do that. All right, so let's talk about the 3 things that I have discovered. And now, I'm not a doctor, so you can take this with a grain of salt, but this is the research that I've found, years and years of research. I am a qualified disability support worker. I am a qualified assistant in nursing and social work and a few other things, but I'm not your doctor. And I see what has worked. I've seen what's on the internet. Anyway, let's just leave it at that. And so you can take this with a grain of salt. You can accept it or reject it, or most importantly, maybe do your own research. Now, there's 3 things. Okay, let's start with that. Number 1, if you have a fatty liver, you may have insulin resistance, and insulin resistance basically is diabetes. Okay, whether you're pre-diabetic or you're full-blown diabetic. You get fat in your pancreas, and it infiltrates your pancreas, and then it doesn't work properly. And number 3, there's fat in the muscles. Those 3 things create insulin resistance. So what is insulin resistance? It's when your cells are trying to uptake the glucose in the cells for energy, for growth, and for nutrients and stuff, but it's got so much glucose that it has to protect itself by resisting the insulin and only letting in a little bit of glucose in at a time. And what happens is your blood builds up with the glucose in there, and you have these high blood sugars. Now, before I tell you what I did, towards the end there, I was having some horrendous blood sugars, and I just couldn't work out what I could do next. As I said, 3 different medications. Now, what did I do? I bit the bullet, and I went and had a gastric sleeve operation. Now, that's not for everybody, but here's the point. Before the gastric sleeve, right, you have to do a pre-op diet. My pre-operation diet, was about 800 calories with a VLCD diet, very low calorie diet, VLCD. So basically milkshakes, specifically formulated milkshakes with vitamins and minerals and all that, and then a couple of cups of veggies as well. Okay, in with that per day. Now, doing that for 3 weeks, I lost 9 kilograms, which is something like 19 pounds, something like that. And then after of course, having the gastric sleeve, then I lost another 8 kilograms so far. When I lost that weight, and that diet is specifically designed for the surgeon to get the fat out of your liver, and the surgeon did say to me, your liver was very, very fatty, but because you lost weight, I was able to push it out of the way. It was soft, so that I can get to your stomach. Now, there's a video on here, if you check my channel, of me actually crying one day because I was no longer diabetic. I was in remission. So what changed? It was the weight loss. The weight loss for me changed. And you find this is even a well-known fact that weight loss can actually put your diabetes into remission if you lose enough. It's minimum 5% of your body weight you need to improve your sugars. And then I think I lost something like, well, it was. Now it's like 10%. But the other thing is, now, I don't want to pick on dietitians, but I tell you what, as a person who's grown up with a Mediterranean diet, who's been a bodybuilder, and I'm returning back to doing weights and martial artist and everything, I got to say to you, the advice that you get, I don't agree with. And you can do your own research. Advice like having things like bagels and high processed flour and high GI products, that you give these to a diabetic. You can do a test yourself. You can go and have a piece of white bread and check your blood sugars, an hour and 2 hours later, or have a piece of steak and then check your blood sugars an hour or 2 hours later. It's going to be a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying that you should live on just protein only, because that's not good either. I'm saying if you're a diabetic, you probably need to limit your carbohydrates, and especially refined sugars. What am I talking about, refined sugars? White sugar, all types of high glycemic index sugars. You really have to limit. They are the devil when it comes for diabetics. What would I do if I were diabetic again? You have to try and lose weight. Now, I know that being a diabetic, sometimes you don't have any energy and things like that. And it's a vicious circle that you have to look at your medications as well. Are you on medications that help you to lose weight? Or are you on medications that make you gain weight? Are you on insulin? Do you really need to be on insulin? Maybe you can be on something else. Now, this is something to talk to your doctor about. I'm not qualified to talk to you about those things, but I did do a couple of things here. All the medicines that I chose, now if you're overweight, and I'll put a disclaimer here that you might not be overweight on the outside, but if you did a DEXA scan, right, if you did a professional scan done, you might have visceral fat inside all of your organs. You may be thin, but that visceral fat will also mess with your diabetes. So you could be thin and you still have all that internal fat, which will, like Dr. Mosley, he's famous for the 5-2 diet. He was what we call TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside, and he lost weight and he put his diabetes into remission. Now, so I chose the two medications and one normal, a natural medication that made me lose weight. So I was very, very slowly losing weight. I was on Jardiance. I was on berberine is the natural one, and I was on Glucobay. And I chose those three because they made you lose weight, and I was losing weight on those. Everybody is different. You need to check with your doctor, but please look at that research. So let's have a look at. This is what Dr. Jason Fung, and I've got his books over there. It's the Diabetes Code and Obesity Code. Diabetes Code and Obesity Code. Like he said, and like we know, like up to 80%, something like this figure, of people who have bariatric surgery, they basically throw their diabetes meds in the rubbish. And in my case, it was straight away because I couldn't eat. So I was having, good blood sugars because I couldn't eat anyway. And then when I got home, I was starting to have low blood sugars. That's how efficient everything was starting to work again with all the fat loss, right? So why is bariatric surgery working? Why does weight loss work and all of this? The secret, guys, and this is information that may be hard to find out there, and this is why I want to tell the world about this. The secret is to lose that weight off liver, your pancreas, and through your muscles. Now, the good news is that when you actually lose weight, it does come off the liver. If I'm not mistaken, it comes off the liver, even one of the earliest things that starts to change and happen. So there will be improvements in your diabetes. I think that's all I can say on this topic. If you look through and you just think logically about the advice given to diabetics. For example, you look on Wikipedia and it goes, oh, there is some indication that a low carbohydrate diet will help. Now, why? Because I'm former diabetic, but as diabetics type 2, and I'm not talking about type 1, type 1 is completely different. Type 1 is autoimmune. Not much you can do about that besides take medicine. But type 2 diabetics, right? What was I saying there? It's about when we're carbohydrate intolerant. Okay, we've just used up genetically, physically, over the years. You know, the older you get seems to be the worse it gets. We've used up our quota of carbs, really. That's our resistance to carbs. Like when I was younger, I was addicted to Coca-Cola. Okay, I would have a couple of liters a day, and I didn't. Maybe I just wanted to have it, or just put my head in the sand. Like I remember saying to a dietitian once, I'm not stopping my Coca-Cola. And that just absolutely screwed me up. Okay. All that sugar, your poor body trying to process that sugar. All right, look, I'll leave it there. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but just getting that info out there. There was a conference, and it's been very, very hard to find, but that conference said that you will be able to find this information out there if you dig deep enough, that those three things are the issue. The fatty liver, the fatty pancreas, and then the fat in the muscles all contribute to insulin resistance, and insulin resistance basically is diabetes type 2. Okay, guys, that's what I got. Please look around my channel. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you very soon in the next video, which I'm going to do, which I'll be talking about heart palpitations. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks, guys.